She wrote a blog, something to that effect, saying that whenever they go out to eat, he has to look and scan the room and look at every meal and see how he would finish them if something was to escalate, right? If there was like some type of confrontation.
Yeah, that'll get somebody, put in the graveyard early.
Okay, y'all, we back with another one, a great debate topic. I know we've all been seeing the information circulating about Ian Garry, and we're not here to dive too deep into the personal stuff that's going on, allegedly, whatever that is he's got going on with his family and stuff. All we want to say is he better win this fight coming up, because boy, he has put himself in a very bad position. I mean, it's worse than you could imagine. I know there's a lot of jokes going around with it, and some of it is just funny. You know how it is, man. People just take something and make a big deal out of it. Make a mountain out of an anthill.
So basically, he's taking some L's outside of the cage.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, one mistake he made was he was trying to follow behind Conor McGregor's footsteps. And that was corny when he was on the Conor McGregor dance. And then now you got the personal stuff going on. And, bro, you got to come out here and get a highlight reel knockout.
Essentially, bro, he has to come out and perform and make everybody remember,
or make people forget. You got to come out before and make people forget, because people have short-term memory loss. You go out there, you get a highlight reel knockout, and that's the only thing people are talking about.
And that's the only thing people are going to care about. And you going out there fighting a dangerous Vicente Luque, who desperately needs to win, because he's trying to stay in the top 10. The truth of the matter is, all this other stuff that he got going on, that can get to a fighter mentally. And you can pretend like it don't matter, but when you step into the octagon, I don't want to say it will be a distraction, but it can affect you, and you can't pretend like it won't. And I want to say this, Ian Garry has had some fights, man, where he barely skated away with, if I'm be completely honest with you. Darian Weeks, he barely skated past Darian Weeks, and Darian took that fight on short notice. He's not even in the UFC anymore. Who else? Gabe Green. Towards the end, it seemed like all these guys started getting him, and then he got dropped by Song.
He liked to coast a little bit, man. He's not a bad fighter by any means. He's just a little lazy.
Yeah, and what happened was the Daniel Rodriguez one is the fight that made people remember, okay, this is why we were kind of following you and thinking you could be the next big thing. But I want to say this whole next Conor McGregor thing, nobody's buying it, man. Nobody's buying what you're selling. Nobody's saying you're not talented, but it's kind of corny and weird, because Conor is his own person. Nobody could ever replace Conor. Nobody can ever be the next Conor McGregor or the new Conor McGregor. And there have been so many fighters after Conor who have come along, and they've all said it. Give me the name of one of those guys who's still sticking around.
Don't worry, I'll wait.
None.
It's just a bad marketing strategy for Ian Garry. It's a lot of other things he could have done. He could have went the Kobe Covington route. He could have just been the bad guy or the villain. You could do anything, man, but you don't duplicate what somebody else already done.
And it's not working, because Conor McGregor, in his first few UFC fights, man, he was doing things like striking wise. When he did the Marcus Brimage, that's still one of the nastiest knockouts I ever seen, man. Like, just that whole ending sequence, it was just scary. It was just like, there's nothing you can do to not get hit by this guy. And we've seen Ian Garry in some fights where it looked like he was actually kind of scared to be in the fight. And you have to use your strengths. Like, you have to use your attributes. He got the long legs, the good reach. Like, if he can't control the range, he would just flat out run around the cage, almost like how Alexander Gustafsson used to do sometimes.
Yeah.
But at least Alex would like reset and get back in it. But Ian got to realize, you fighting top 10 guys now, man. You're not fighting Gabe Green, and you fighting people who can knock your lights out, man. And
it seems like when you fight against a fighter of a certain style, it's like he's a little tentative. These guys, Gabe Green and Darian Weeks, they're durable. They got good cardio and stuff. And so, like, he fights them a certain way. What happens when you fight against Vicente, who's durable? He's like them guys, he's upgraded. And he's going to walk forward.
And some of these guys, you can drop them, and they're going to get right back in your face.
And that's the thing, Ian don't want that type of fight, man. Ian ain't trying to brawl.
Everybody not showing up to be on your highlight reel. And all these distractions, all the personal stuff that's coming out, man. His old lady's just saying certain things. I don't know how true this is, man. I don't know. She wrote a blog, something to that effect, saying that whenever they go out to eat, he has to look and scan the room and look at every meal and see how he would finish them if something was to escalate, right? If there was like some type of confrontation.
Yeah, that'll get somebody, put in the graveyard early.
So it's just a lot of personal stuff, man, that I hope don't affect his performance.
And let me say this, man, it's rare that you see fighters who are champions or who fight at a high level married. Because a lot of times them fighters, they really don't date. They really just focus on fighting, because you don't want to get that distraction before you fight, and then you go out there and you get highlight reel knocked out. Because we see fighters get knocked out because they're going through a divorce, they're going through this. I'm not saying
some of these guys do be married, but it's just the quality of woman you with is gonna. You know who I think about? I think about like an Andre Ward. I know this is kind of different, but I remember when he was fighting Sergey Kovalev. I remember there's an interview on YouTube where they was talking to Andre Ward's wife after the fight. Remember when Andre got dropped that time by Sergey? And she was basically saying she knew her husband was tough and he can get past it, and that they trained real hard for the fight, and no matter what, he was gonna get up and keep fighting. This is the type of woman, if you're gonna be dating and married, bro, you're fighting in front of millions of people. All it takes is one mistake. All it takes is...
That's what you're saying. So if you have a wife, that's the type of wife you need.
Yes.
But preferably, it might be better for you not to be in that situation to begin with. Because I saw a video with Justin Gaethje, and he was just saying he hasn't dated in years. And he said he makes certain sacrifices before his fights so he don't get distracted. And I saw this, and who's been more impressive than him the last couple years?
But for people who are in a relationship currently, that's not feasible to just break up with somebody.
I'm talking about young fighters who they're single.
With Ian, the things that this woman is coming out and saying, there's another element to this too as well. Men, we can't forget that humans to a degree are animals, and what we do is we look for weakness in other animals. What's the expression? Blood in the water.
Yeah.
When your significant other comes out to the public and starts divulging personal information,
it kind of makes them look vulnerable, though.
It make you look vulnerable. It make you look weak.
It make it seem like you ain't got your house under control.
And it make it seem like you don't have your house in order. And if your significant other don't respect you, why would these other fighters respect you?
Vicente.
And sometimes an unbeatable guy, let me give you an example. Imagine if, I'm just giving an example. What if Khamzat Chimaev was dating, right? Yeah. Which I don't know nothing about his personal life. I'm saying hypothetically, what if he was dating and he'd been looking impressive? I know depending on the caliber of opponent, it's a more tougher fight, but let's just say he's still been very impressive no matter what. Imagine he had somebody coming out saying crazy stuff like this. That would be all that somebody needed to say, yeah, I can catch you. I can put your lights out. Yeah, because something in you, something ain't right, man.
Fighters look for any psychological advantage they can get over their opponent. Even if it's like during the weigh-in, face-off, and you see them kind of just look away for 1 second.
That's why fighters, what they do, they jump at the other fighter just to see you flinch, just because. And if I just see you flinch just even a little bit, and it gives me that one-up, the advantage over.
And not only that, but that's why the greatest of all time, John Jones, look away during the face-off. Because he don't want to give nobody no kind of advantage. He just look away. Don't even look at...
Even look at your Conor McGregors. Look at the way... But I'm not saying everybody got to put on a spectacle during the weigh-in. People just look for any advantage they can get. And what this woman has essentially done is made Ian kind of look like a bozo. And I'm not saying that I feel that he is, because we don't have no dog in that fight, but just the perception and the optics. Ian Garry got to go out there and absolutely destroy Vicente.
And it doesn't really look good because some of his performances he had wasn't the best. Well, he probably should have annihilated his opponent, but he
no reason Darian Weeks should have saw 15 minutes on short notice.
He's not even in the UFC right now, man.
No reason. If you're the next Conor McGregor, you put those guys away in the first round.
It don't necessarily have to be the first round, but it has to be a highlight reel.
Yeah, you put them away.
Second round.
And so now we're entering the territory of the Vicente Luque. And let's say he wins, the Jeff Neals, the Sean Brady. Sean Brady called him out. Wonder Boy. Ain't no point of mentioning Shavkat because for some reason he refused to call out Shavkat, but we heard rumors of something that happened in the gym.
Yeah.
So he ain't gonna call him out. But you're entering dangerous territory, man. The top other guys who are just in the division versus top 15 versus top 10 guys, you got to go in with your mind ironclad.
Not even that. Say if he makes it there, some kind of way Kobe loses his next fight. Say Ian wins his next fight. Some kind of way they meet. On paper, I think Ian is a good matchup for Kobe. But maybe Kobe might look at that and say, okay, there's some vulnerability there.
But also, you just made me think about something. From a marketing standpoint, Ian Garry is still very young. He got a lot of fights left. Bright future if he can get his house in order. Look at all the ammo he just gave every opponent for the rest of his career. Just this one fight, stuff that we did not know when he fought Neil Magny a few months ago. Now just think in between the Neil Magny fight and right now, everything that's quote unquote alleged that he ain't denying. The information is coming from somebody directly in his household, in his home, and giving the information to the public. Think about if you fight a Colby Covington. Colby in your head already. It's already over. Think about if you fight one of these guys who they go the extra mile when it comes to promoting the fight, or if they got to psych themselves up and use certain things to try to get under your skin. How he gonna make it? Because like now you're essentially gonna look like a buffoon.
The only thing is he is undefeated, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know?
Yeah, but
And maybe he might be one of those guys like Jeff Neal. Sometimes he don't pull the trigger, but when he fight against a killer, he pulled the trigger. You know, so maybe even though he don't really fight as aggressive as he should, Ian Garry, when he fight against some of these other guys,
you to bring the dog.
Yeah, bring it out, man. So it might work for him.
But I'm gonna say this though, you don't want to go into the press conference being the butt of the jokes. It's getting crazy, man, because now you got people like Chael Sonnen and other fighters saying, man, the press conference is going to be an absolute mess because all these allegations and these different weird things that we're hearing, people are going to be curious. And I know that it's technically none of our business what goes on.
He lucky Vicente ain't going to say nothing, man. He going to have a good one for this one. But for the next one, he gonna be.
I know he luckily that Vicente ain't that type of fighter. Yeah. Like he just kind of show up, you know. But boy, if you end up fighting like a Kobe at some point, if you end up fighting somebody else like a Kevin Holland, one day. Well, I know he ranked higher than Kevin Holland at this point, but I'm just saying
you never know, man. He might lose this fight and then might run into any of these guys.
Yeah, anything can happen. But I want to say this also. These guys are saying, hey, you got to be very careful at the press conference, essentially, because you know what this reminds me of? And then this will be my final thoughts. It's like the Dwight Howard thing. It's none of our business. But when people watching you and you're in the spotlight, people are curious. It ain't none of our business. But man, you got to keep your house in order because certain things the public don't need to be privy to. If nothing going on in your house that's abusive or putting nobody at risk or anything like that, it ain't nobody's business. It's your relationship dynamics.
And then when you marry, you're kind of stuck in a sticky situation to where you can't really get out of it. That's nothing. I didn't want to say it, but it seems like, you know, sometimes fighters be stuck in bad situations, man. And it can affect their performance sometimes.
Now when you enter in the top 10 and you starting to fight the Jeff Neals and the Wonder Boys and I'm going to say the name again, Shavkat, because you're going to have to fight Shavkat. All that, that's my homeboy. We used to train together. We don't care.
I mean, if they win, yeah. I mean, it's a world.
If they win, yeah,
they can avoid each other, man. But
man, look, if y'all both going for gold, you gonna have to fight each other.
Now they best friends.
Yeah,
Aljamain and Marab.
Bro, no, it's the funniest thing with Ian Garry. All the killers he friends with. Or I train with Kamaru. Or I train with Shaw. Or I train with Gilbert.
Or I grew up watching him, so I don't want to fight him.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, you got to fight these people. If you make it up there and they're there, you have to fight them. All that's my homeboy stuff out the window. But keep your house in order, man. And if you're gonna be with somebody,
if you can, though, I don't know if he'll be able to do that when you.
It seems like things out of control. We ain't gonna go into detail, but
yeah, marriage.
No, I'm talking about his situation. We're not talking about in general. I'm talking about his situation.
That's what I'm saying. When you married to somebody, you can't just exit out.
Yeah. So
man,
look,
man, it sucks.
He got to put on a performance of a lifetime.
No, he don't, man. It seems even if he do, man,
we gonna see because sometimes the fight can help change things. But be careful who y'all with, man. Do not just be going to get nobody. And then they writing books and blogs and putting your personal information out there. And now you in the fight business.
I'm gonna just say it, man. I'm getting the Will Smith vibes, man.
Yeah, that's kind of what's happening. It's kind of like Will and Jada type situation going on to where we don't want to know this information. We don't care.
It's kind of sad, to be honest.
Truth be told, we don't want to make this video because me and you've been seeing this floating around the internet. And we've mentioned certain things that we've seen to each other, but we don't care. We only bring it up because how will this affect your performance in the fight? You got to be careful. You got to be focused. You don't need all this. People going to be asking him more what's going on in your personal life than about this person in front of you